Hey, welcome back to this week's report brought to you by Roach's Guide Service. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. As we get towards Memorial Day weekend, the temps have sure come around. You know, our last report was right after fishing opener. It was cold, we had snow on fishing opener. It was a jig bite, you know, fishing methodical, really targeting walleyes in that shallow water. Options have really opened up. You know, you can fish walleyes on mid-lake structure now. There's a lot of different techniques that are working, from still pitching jigs and shiners, bobber fishing with leeches, rigging, casting, trolling, you know, a lot of things that open up on the walleye front. And also, as far as smallmouth bass are concerned, we're catching a lot of fish on swim baits and then of course jerk baits. This time of year, I love throwing jerk baits. These bass are starting to come up into these shallows and it's really, really fun. So what I've been doing as a guide is fishing walleyes in the morning, or a walleye bass combo, throwing swim baits, and then as soon as those fish start shifting up into that 6, 7, 8 feet of water or even shallower, I start throwing a jerk bait. X-Wraps are probably one of my favorite shallow water baits to throw this time of year. That dress treble, and of course that weight forward design is great for Mille casting in the wind. There we go. Man, I love the way they hit that jerk bait. They just crack that thing. That's the thing, is we're catching walleyes, we're catching bass on jerk baits, on swim baits. They're all over up in these shallows. There's still a lot of shiners in the shallows. There's tons of bait fish. The perch will start to slide in as it gets warm. But man, lots of fun. I love throwing baits for fish. Like I said, whether it's a jerk bait or a swim bait, when you're in this really shallow water, like I'm fishing under 6 feet of water right now, they have nowhere to go but sideways. They just smack that bait. Wow. I tell you what, from opening fishing until the end of June, by far, hands down, my favorite time of year to fish in the open water. These fish are so exciting, so electric. There's no wrong way to fish. Memorial Day weekend's here, that's for sure. Along with fishing the jerk baits, I've been fishing the paddle tails, the swim baits, and here's how I kind of go about it. When I pull up to a reef like this, when I'm on the outside edge of the reef in like that 8 to 10 feet of water, I've been pitching paddle tails or swim baits. For the smallmouth, you know, just throwing it out there and then just a steady retrieve. For walleyes, like with this paddle minnow, I'm just pitching it out there, letting it hit the bottom, ripping it, letting it hit the bottom. And it seems like where the depression areas are is where you're finding lots of walleyes that are stacked up outside the reef. And then as soon as I get in that shallow water, I quickly shift over to throwing jerk baits and finding those bass, especially as they move up in the afternoon. There we go. That's a nice one too. Long pauses on the jerk bait pay off. What a nice fish. Oh yeah. What an absolute beast. Now that is a Mille beast right there. That's why people come to Mille Lake, and that's why it's been so much fun. Walleyes, bass, pike, all jammed in the shallow water, catching them on jerk baits, catching them on paddle tails. I absolutely love this time of year. Hey, I tell you what, have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. You're coming to Mille, tying a jerk bait, tying a swim bait. Again, there's no wrong way to fish. You can go out to the mud flats and catch them this time of year. Things are really starting to heat up with the warm temperatures. Hey, I just want to take a second to thank all of our veterans, men and women who have served this great country. That's what Memorial Day weekend's all about. Until next week, I'm Tony Roach, and we'll see you on the water.